We're going to have, we're very excited about this area of work. It's a highlight of our scrutiny. So we thought we'd give 20 minutes. Maybe if you could introduce, say you are for the cameras, introduce, and then we'll have a discussion really. But it's more of an update, you know, because we know that this is something that we're all investing a lot of time in, and we're very excited to hear where we're up to now. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Andrew Fowler, I'm Head of Service for Looked After Children and Care Leavers.
My name is Alistair Smith, I'm the Director of Children and Families at the Council. If I say a few words to begin with, then I'll hand over to Andrew, who's been steeped in this innovation project. Just I'd like to note, at the beginning it's called Catch 22, but it's very much a partnership with Catch 22. Apologies that no one could be here today from Catch 22, or young people. We're trying to get some young people here because one of the major themes is involving young people in the redesign. Probably that is the major part of the innovation. But I know we'll talk more about that. Just to say that the work that Scrutiny did in relation to care leavers was very timely in relation to what was going on in the sector about parenting and really upping the expectation with new statutory guidance and increasing duties, which the government's done around that, as well as our innovation bid and at Ofsted, which Ofsted said, they said we had really good outcomes for care leavers. They said our staff were terrific, was one of the things they kept saying, but they couldn't quite work out how we got some of that. And I think that's why we were really excited about the opportunity that's given to us. So Andrew has prepared a presentation, but he would happy to circulate that afterwards. We can get it printed off just for now. But
yeah, that would be brilliant. I'm pleased we couldn't make it too, so thank you.
Thank you. So the background, there are currently 390 care leavers open to the care leaver service in Southwark and 34 care leavers in other service areas. But outcomes for care leavers are not what we'd hope for our own birth children, and we find that the currently highly specified system is bureaucratic and it gets in the way of developing good effective relationships needed to sustain young people through into adulthood. We find it's hindered bureaucracy and compliance, and it's tied by traditional statutory roles. In the main, services are not matched to expressed care leaver needs, and that's something we want to try and address. So overall, services in Southwark for children are good, but for care leavers we need to do better. We want to create the first care leavers partnership, a new delivery vehicle owned by Southwark Council along with Catch 22 and potentially other parties as well. And we want to put young people front and centre of the work that we're doing. We want to enable innovation, and we want to think about delivering the care leavers pledge. We want to engage the current cohort of 16 to 25-year-olds in co-designing and delivering a flexible service that meets their express needs. We want to dramatically improve outcomes, and the partnership will test and establish a new transformational staffing model. And we want to develop an innovative culture with a team around the person who can provide the best support to the young person, which may or may not meet a personal advisor in that time. In order to deliver this innovative model and transform outcomes for young people, we want to co-design the service with young people and practitioners, as well as establish significant levels of buy-in from the local community, and later down the line perhaps explore the role of businesses as well. So a partnership summary. Catch 22 and Southwark Council are joint development partners. We've got 1.6 million total award from the DfE Innovation Programme, and it sits within the wider Children's Social Care Innovation Programme. It's a 2.5-year duration. It's independently evaluated by Ipsos Murray, who are appointed by the DfE, and it's a programme managed approach jointly implemented by Southwark and Catch 22. But the key thing is it's a co-production with young people and other stakeholders, including staff. So outcomes, we're looking for this to develop. I'm thinking very carefully about outcomes, and the 5 outcomes we've got here are: care leavers are safe, care leavers have a place they can call home, care leavers are in education, training or employment, care leavers are healthy and they feel well, care leavers have enough income to support themselves well, and care leavers have good, established, sustainable networks. And one of the things we're doing with innovation funding is we're recruiting a dedicated staff member to lead on this work, working with care leavers to identify support networks independent of services. The intention behind that is to enable care leavers to have independent, lifelong, sustainable networks, thinking about the family group conferencing model and the lifelong needs model to do that. and we're just in the process of recruiting staff. So in terms of the timetable, the phasing diagram, so project setup was April to October. We're currently now March 18 preparing for change and looking forward to April to December when we're going to be piloting the new model. In the creating period, we're working collaboratively with staff and young people to design the best possible model for leaving care. And this currently includes confirming what we think good looks like in various areas, emablishing how we're going to measure success in the model, and agreeing what the delivery of our model looks like for young people and for staff as well. So we've got a phasing diagram here, I'll email around. So designing our model, we're thinking about the enhanced local offer and the key partners and agencies around that. We're confirming what we believe good looks like there and what the promise and the pledge for Southwark care leavers will be. We're building the wider partnership response for young people and care leavers, and there's 6 key areas in this, which is health and well-being, relationships, developing positive networks, education, training, employment, accommodation, and participating in society. So we need to establish the evaluation model, and we need to establish criteria around that. And currently we're thinking about our operational model, because the pilot's due to go live in April. Wow. So we're agreeing what the delivery of our model looks like and feels like for young people. And currently we're working with Dr. Jenny Taylor, who's the leader of the clinical hub in Southwark, to think about the STAIRS model, which is a methodology of social work practice. Infrastructure and technology. We need to make sure we've got the right back office support to support innovation and new ways of working so that we can see and support our care leavers in places and be a method that most effective. So we're thinking now about a pilot of new technology, about how we can communicate better and more effectively with people out of borough, whether there's apps we can develop and whether we give people live access to their pathway plans and their records on Mosaic, if that might be possible. That's something we're thinking about now. Pathway plans, we've got a working group now, a work stream developing pathway plans. We want to try and integrate this new methodology, the STAIRS approach, through pathway planning, and we're working very closely with Catch22, with the STAIRS lead, and with the practice group lead in care and young people, Faye, the participation worker, to think about how our pathway plan might be different and actually be young person-centred, not a bureaucratic exercise. So it's a living, meaningful document to young people that actually they can buy into. Quality and governance. We need to ensure everything we do is high quality, effectively governed, and strategically relevant. So co-design is what the centre we're doing. We've got a number of aspects to this. We've been working with group workshops. We've been undertaking surveys, interview panels. There's the Young People's Benchmarking Forum. We've had young people come to my recent service day and did a presentation and work with staff around the Ofsted report on our improvement planning. And that was a bit of a challenge for some people, but it's something very effective, and we made a commitment that young people will always be a part of our service days going forward. And we've been doing one-to-one consultations. So we've had 42 different young people we've consulted with currently, and we're just about to send out a questionnaire to young people in custody. We've designed a questionnaire around that. We're offering payment into their canteen for engaging with that because we recognise young people in custody as a particularly vulnerable group, and we want to make sure that they get the service, a good service and the proper service, and that they're supported well by us. So we're just trying to find out from them the current degree of service they're receiving and how we can do better to support them. And then we're going to follow that through with a survey and work with the young people out of borough. Most of the young people we've engaged so far have been easier to reach young people in borough and based in Southwark, but we're going to launch with other initiatives. The first appointment of the Care Leaver Partnership actually was a 16-plus participation worker, Faye, who's care experienced herself, and she's been working very closely with Speaker Box to think about participation and involvement of young people. Okay, so we've had some misconceptions. For example, domestic violence. We were thinking about domestic violence in terms of the staffing model. We were thinking about domestic violence worker or link. That would be what key to us. In actual fact, young people have told us that they didn't want that. They wanted more concentration on mental health. And that's something that we're interested in coming out of the consultation, because certainly we thought that would be an identified need. So some of the themes we've worked with young people on is feedback on the service, housing, mental health, emotional well-being. We're talking about wishes for the future, what their entitlements might be. We've had a workshop with young people and with staff on the PA role, and tried to deconstruct the PA role to see what's important to young people. And actually today, young people were at Telford Place making a film about participation, which is going to be shown to the DfE and other local authorities at the end of February. So that's quite an exciting thing today, with that going live today.
About the whole project?
About participation and how Southwark and Care and Catch22 are working to to deliver participation to young people. So they're filming down at Southwark Place. There's 10 or 12 young people involved in that. So I wasn't there, but I've had feedback. It went very well.
Right.
So co-design, there's a diagram here which I can email around about the co-design process. But majority of our participation involves seeking feedback from one group and then testing it against another group and then feeding it back in to see whether we're getting it right or not. So next steps. So another post we're recruiting to is a community social capital manager. Bit of a mouthful, but they'll focus on building social capital, trusting social networks for young people in the community, perhaps with local businesses as well going forward. And part of their remit is going to be developing a volunteer programme to form part of delivery pilots and service redesign in Southwark. We're thinking about developing a peer mentoring programme. We're designing engagement programmes for target audiences where gaps are identified, perhaps with local businesses again, and developing and implementing creative options for care leavers that live outside the borough and are in custody. So we've been thinking about staffing models, and we've been thinking, for example, do staff have to be based in Southwark if we've got a cluster of young people in Kent? Could we employ people living in Kent to work with people living in Kent and things like that? Can we use technology? Can we perhaps use iPads and iPhones and make use of social media and other innovative ways? We've been thinking about who PAs could be. Can certain aspects of the PA role be delegated to other people, foster carers or other trusted people? The other one we're recruiting to is the Sustainable Community Networks role, which I've already spoken about, which is intended to promote autonomy of young people, and rather than have people dependent on social services or other providers, they actually have a sustainable network that when their case is closed, there's no cliff edge to fall off, that people have a network of trusting, supported people in place that they can depend upon when we're no longer there. We're also collaborating on innovation projects such as PAUSE and beginning to reach out to wider partners such as health and other agencies. The local offer, the enhanced local offer, is further driving the care leaver agenda, and it's a duty under the Children's Social Workers and Social Work Act 2017. And we'll be thinking about now what that's going to mean, and we're just starting to put a work stream developing the enhanced local offer for our young people. We're also designing the operation pilot to test ways of working, and we're considering an options appraisal for alternative delivery vehicle to see what that may mean in terms of where the project sits in respect to the local authority. So that's a whistle-stop tour of where we are.
It seems really exciting.
It is very exciting times.
One of the most exciting things we're doing, isn't it?
It is,
really?
Catch-22 and
it's not even finished and you're making films about it.
Yeah. So Catch-22 is a nationally recognised organisation with a great deal of leadership and experience in the sector, and they're a very helpful partner.
Yeah, they're very good. I saw one of your PMs at a meeting that I chaired the other day, and she was absolutely brimming with the excitement and enthusiasm about the project. So looks like you've got your team in place. Okay, I'm going to open it up. I just had a couple of questions before I do, if I may, and that is the governance. What does that look like? Have you got a board of young people, and is Councillor Mills on it, and what does the board look like? Presumably it's not like not that we have stuffy boards, but it must be a bit more exciting than what I mean, your usual board structure. So that was my first question. The other one was on the Children and Social Work Act. It's a good thing to deconstruct the role of the PA because it's becoming more prominent again. But have we got many people that have come back? Have we communicated with people that now, under new legislation, we can actually support them? And how's that been? And I suppose the third thing that I wanted to say was just, well, I'll just leave it there and then I'll open it up and come back.
I mean, related to governance, it's a work in progress. What you've heard is a lot of work around the project, really trying to decide how we're going to form things. So it's been just simple project management. I think as we go into this year and we start to implement the pilot, so what was meant by the pilot was a smaller group, kind of testing approaches before we might move into putting the whole service out that way. And I think we're going to put another layer of governance on that. So young people are very much involved in that, and there's a parallel young person's board for that. But really, it's just been mechanics of project, really. So it's not really, there's no decisions being made yet, effectively. So we're going to start to look at how that relates to corporate parenting and to the Children and Adults Board, and ultimately think about how that, if we make the right decisions about alternative delivery vehicles, and that's the right way to go. It will only go that way if it's going to benefit significantly children and young people. That's really important to say that. But then how the council is involved in the decision making around the governance around that. So that's about governance. I mean, do you want to answer the bit around
page 25? So we currently have been accepting care leavers back anyway.
He's always done that, I have to say, Andrew.
Oh, really?
So we had a bit of a conversation.
Now we're getting paid for it.
So somebody comes out with a need. I mean, corporate parenting. When does that end? When doesn't it end? So we would always help a care leaver anyway, and we have a returnees interview. We're currently putting in place processes to think about how we're going to put the word out to young people.
Because some people won't want any help. They'll be like,
I think what the government anticipates is that we won't have the same duties to care leavers. We won't have a duty to get in touch every 8 weeks, for example.
No.
I've been speaking to our data people about how we're going to track them on the system and differentiate them when they come back. Because some people may come back for specific pieces of advice, we may do an assessment, and they want help with their housing, and it takes 6 weeks, and you give them help with their housing, and you help them, they get housed, you close their case. And you say, if you want to come back for more help, come back, and that's a discrete piece of work. Other people may present with more complex needs and with greater difficulty, and actually require a service up until the age of 25. So it's difficult to anticipate what it's going to look like, but we think probably people with more complex needs will come back initially, because they may be facing substance use issues or housing issues or domestic violence or a variety of different things, but we're not quite sure how it's going to pan out in terms of workload. And the thinking currently is possibly that we would use the pilot, which we're going to be launching, to actually invest in that group of young people initially.
The statutory guidance is not effective till the 1st of April.
1st of April, right.
So there's a lot of thinking around that.
And we don't know.
And we don't know what the funding will be for that yet. The government's not announced that.
We still don't know.
And the statutory guidance is not finalised around that. So it's a difficult position, but I think what Andrew's talking about is that we will, because we'll have the pilot being launched.
We'll have capacity there.
Then we'll start to look at how that might work there. We've got opportunities there.
And one of the strands, sorry, I'm coming in, is about your network. It's not about the statutory support that you get. And we know from our own life experiences that the networks of support that you need do not end at a certain point. They don't end neatly at 18 or 21 or 25.
Exactly.
Many of us who you still have parents. You rely on them throughout your entire life. So how can we do something in this project that really looks to kind of equip these young people with a network for their entire lifetime?
I think that's right. I think 2 of the posts are about that, family group compassing, and about community involvement. And one of the distinctive elements, firstly, it's about involving young people in co-design. Secondly, it is about social capital. Because actually a success would be helping more young people, but actually not necessarily needing the service more. It's about how we help them earlier and ensure that they've got the right people around them to help them, as they would from our own families. That's what we want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Networks are crucial, and the more advantage you are, the more networks you have without even knowing about it, jobs, and so absolutely. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you actually took my question.
Oh no, sorry.
But it might come up. It might come later.
No, there's nothing else from me at this point. Thanks.
Martin?
Sounds really interesting.
Okay. Well, I had a number of things to say, but in the interest of brevity, and this just sounds absolutely amazing. It's so exciting that we're doing this, and I think it will really, really improve lives. I mean, obviously, it's easy for me to say, but I would say, the more, there's that thing, people always shy away from disruptive innovation and, all of these things, which I was trying to explain this to my colleagues of the Labour group the other day. I mean, the thing about local government is that, that innovation can come out of it, but we're such an unwieldy thing, and we do all these amazing things for people in the community, but innovation is not the tip of the tongue, and this is like real innovation. So we have to make sure that we give you as much support as possible and not kill it. And the idea that the young people are coming forward and everything, so important, but at the same time having that safety governance around it. So anything that we can do to help, give us a shout. Not that you need that help, but we'll see you again, no doubt, or the next iteration of this committee will see you. Thank you very much.